listening to Polymatic.media, episode 23 for September 3rd, 2017. Welcome to the Polymaticast. Hey, John, how's it going?
Terrible. How are you?
Less terrible.
Oh, okay.
Is that more positive? So, yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I just don't want to go all the way down a route. One of my Kickstarters.
We'll get to that in a minute.
One of my Kickstarters came in, so that's positive.
Which one?
But it's not perfect. It's not that the Kickstarter isn't perfect. It's that my phone isn't perfect. So what I mean by this is I bought a Steadicam, the company Steadicam. Well, actually, Tiffin is the company. Steadicam is one of their products. That's, everyone knows from Star Wars and the speed bikes and the camera stabilizers and all that stuff. Steadicam is the original brand company,
that got
whatever, that made that stuff for professional cameras.
And now they call all the things that do that thing Steadicams.
More or less Steadicam with a sub-brand, right? So they have ones for like handy cameras. They have ones that are for DSLRs. They have ones for professional film cameras, and you name it.
And then there's for a mobile phone.
Then they have something they went in with. I don't know if a partnership, but they went in with Unique, who makes drones and has built gimbal technology. And they went in together to create a Kickstarter called Steadicam Volt, which was for smartphones. And it's a really nice, simple product. The only problem is to center my phone kind of runs into a problem with the volume keys.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and so I can't, so it wobbles, it becomes off-center, and it literally just came in this week. So I think I can come up with a way to maybe put something, I don't know, I'd have to figure out a solution how to bracket something. This is where a 3D printer solution would be great for me. But, come up with something, a way to kind of get it sturdy and up and over a little bracket or something that lives above the volume keys so that I can move and slide this thing in on center. Because the base, like on a normal professional, like a glide cam, even if you're not properly center, you can rebalance the bed to move or shift, and you really can't. They just expect you to shift or slide your phone, and it works perfectly. It's really reasonably balanced, right? So the gimbal is motorized and has its own motorized axis built in, and then it's a combination of a counterbalance. So it's kind of nice, except that I can't use it without freaking out my phone.
I have another idea. Instead of 3D printing something, you can use something like polymorph or something like that. Polymorph is a plastic that melts at like 70 degrees Celsius. And you can put it in like a bit of hot water. It will melt and become soft and transparent. And then you can take it out, dry it off, just let it drip dry, and then just put it on your phone and shape it to what you want. And then don't press the buttons, and then it will just be a thing, and it will harden out when it cools down, and you just put it in. Just don't put it in the sun.
Right. Okay. Well,
then you can take it off your phone whenever you want.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought what I was thinking of doing is I probably could go to the hardware store or something, or find like a cheap, like semi-flimsy bracketing solution or something for a phone. I don't know. I hadn't really thought it through yet. It just came in on Thursday night, and I started looking at it last night. So anyhow, the Kickstarter came in. It's a bit plasticky at where all the electronic stuff are. Getting the battery cover off is a little bit of an effort. It's not crap. Let me say that, given the price range of what I paid for Kickstarter.
It doesn't sound like it is.
But it just doesn't. But the Pixel 2 is coming out soon, so maybe they move the volume buttons up, and then this will be all for naught. So knowing the habit of what's going to happen is if I go through this big effort to engineer something, it might just be a non-issue later down the line. So anyhow, that's the only kind of case scenario, and I figured this out last night, and I go, that's the reason, that's a problem. So otherwise, I got a Kickstarter, and it came about a month later than expected, but it came roughly... Actually, I'm not even sure. I don't know if they said August or if they said... I think they said end of July. And I think the Chinese New Year or whatever it was that was happening delayed them for about a month. So it came about a month later. So I got it, about a month later. And, it's all that they promised, except I think the one fancy case or something didn't come yet. So, yeah. So there you go. So that's the only kind of highlight for me, aside from any additional conversation we put on the list.
At least your Kickstarter arrived already.
Yeah, well, I've had things I've already forgotten about.
I have not forgotten about the Oh No printer.
Oh no, it will never come.
Well, they said that the components finally work together, so that's good. And now they're going for recertification. Yay! So maybe somewhere in March next year we'll probably get it.
Oh, so about maybe. 2.5 years late.
Yep. Yeah. They said I think they said September 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh well.
The only new one that I backed recently is the Hudway Cast, and they did come through with what they said they would last year or the year before, which basically is a HUD-up display for your smartphone. So the Hudway Glass combined with their Hudway apps, their HUD apps, allows you to put your smartphone in to this sort of cradle that you put above, in a place where it's going to reflect off the smart glass, not smart glass, but like two-way mirror glass on this cradle that they built, and they did a pretty good job. But this new one wirelessly projects to that same thing, so you can use not just their apps, but like Google Maps and Waze and all kinds of other apps, and they're cobbling together a new app that allows you to like take calls or listen to music and still have your speedometer and stuff in your HUD.
Okay, cool.
Without fully dedicated. So I pledged for it, and they already got funded inside a day after I did that. So the campaign closes in probably, I don't know, a couple weeks. So that one I expect next year will show up. They say November. It may be,
but they've done a Kickstarter before, right?
Yeah, they follow through with a really nice product. They might have done the month slip. I mean, when they say November, I expect that to be last day in November and or somewhere early mid-December. So, yeah, so I don't know. I have hopes that that's not going to be a problem. But it's been a little of an effort to remember and track all the ones that said they were supposed to have shown up by now and haven't. So there's only one of them that has not. They've just sort of gone dead, like since April. They haven't put out any post or anything, and I don't know what's going on. So, but the other ones I expect are going to follow through. So maybe in the upcoming months I'll have some more Kickstarter things to talk about or show off. I don't know.
I'm not going to back anything on Kickstarter until I get my Oh No printer.
So you'll never back anything on Kickstarter again?
Probably. Okay. Speaking of disappointments.
Oh, okay. Right into the topic.
Yeah. So last episode we talked about cons, and now this con was a con. I went to Comiccon Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. I got an early bird ticket.
Yeah.
So I could get in there at like 9 o'clock in the morning, so I can walk around without many people in front of me, around me or something, right? So it turns out the entire floor was about 100 meters by 100 meters. I think that's about 300 feet by 300 feet. It's not very big. I don't know. I do not do feet and thumbs.
Yeah, I think a meter is about 100 feet. roughly? We could do the Googling.
A meter is about 3 feet, I think.
Or 3 feet. That's what I meant. I meant
so
to say the opposite. Right, yeah.
Feet, yeah. So, yeah, that was fun. And the entire floor was basically just vendors. It was just vendors selling their stuff. And there was no panels. Well, there was a panel room, I wouldn't say. It's more like there was a food court type deal with all these stands selling food. And then there was a little area where they had a little podium with some celebrities or something talking. And there were lots of feedback noises, so a lot of squeaking and stuff. That was annoying. So that was basically not worth going to. There was an artist alley. That was it was kind of cool seeing some other artists out there, but totally people I didn't know. So it was no. Hey, let's go look at them. Asked my artist buddies if they were going to Amsterdam. They didn't even know it was going to happen. So, so yeah, there was a Comiccon Amsterdam. Now, from what I heard, is that there's 3 Comiccons in the Netherlands. So Amsterdam, Utrecht, and Rotterdam. So I thought that maybe if they could join forces, they could, get a bigger con. Actually get some good people there.
Yeah, it's definitely happened in the past here in the U.S. Definitely has happened in Pennsylvania. There's a state called Delaware in the United States, and then here in Pennsylvania, and 2 of those conventions, sort of one that was sort of bigger, merged in and became a slightly larger convention here. So, I mean, it's definitely not a thought that doesn't occur. But
the company is called Comiccon Europe, and then they're not affiliated with the American Comic Con, I think.
Right. Okay.
So I think there's some, but even if you look at the U.S. Comic Cons, there's like 2, and there's one in New York and one in San Diego, and there's another one in San Francisco somewhere, I think.
So there's only one official Comic Con, and that's San Diego, and then there is all of a part of the sort of affiliation of the international Comic-Con stuff, right? So, and then there's New York Comic-Con, which is, I guess, a part of the general organization, but no relationship to San Diego Comic-Con. And then there's obviously a ton of smaller ones also, all kind of using the structure or the naming or the branding, whether they're not the same organization. Let me stipulate that they're not like financially tied to each other.
Well, the whole problem here was that it was basically just an entire big room full of vendors. There was only people trying to sell stuff, and there were people, famous people like John Rhys Davies was there. So he was there, but there's like for signatures you had to pay like €30 for a signature. I was like, yeah, not gonna happen.
Yeah, that happens at all the cons. There's paid signed autographs and
I understand that. I understand
pictures,
that,
right? My roommate is
no. There was no pictures there.
Dragon Con this weekend.
You couldn't take pictures there.
Right.
There was no pictures, no selfies, no nothing.
But I mean, to the point that I was about to make was that he's at Dragon Con this weekend, and he's likely to come back with a paid for photograph, which is he stands in line forever. He pays money. He stands with them for all of 30 seconds for them to take a picture. And then boom. And so he's probably going to come back with 1 or 2. That's what he likes to do. He likes to pay for a signed picture with whoever.
Who is?
My roommate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he went to Dragon Con?
Yeah, he goes to Dragon Con because he has friends and stuff that do that. So, but to the point, I know that wasn't a thing for this convention, but that's a thing that does happen at a lot of the conventions. It's a way to encourage guests to come and make extra money aside from being paid to show up at the convention and do a panel.
And there was also not a lot of room for cosplayers. So there was apparently an area that was designated for cosplayers.
Right.
And that looked really bad. So from what I could see, there was like maybe 5-6 really good cosplayers there, and then there was really, really bad stuff.
So this is predominantly what I would refer to as a dealer's room convention.
Yeah.
where they sectioned off a couple other things that like other conventions do as well. Does this have the look and feel of like San Diego Comic-Con's logo?
Not at all.
Okay, so it is totally unrelated.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Like they're totally not trying to do a copycat thing. Okay, that's good. I mean, it didn't turn out to be very good. Do you know what the age of this convention is? How long it's been around?
I think it's been there for like 2 years. So.
Oh, okay. So it's a fairly young convention.
Yeah, and I think that if it weren't for, there weren't any A-list artists there, so that was most important, right? So there was no real people you could go there for. I think the only actor I recognized was John Rhys Davies. So that's the only one I recognized. And then there were no known artists to me anyway. And I kind of watched that space, so I kind of expected some people to go there, but it's just not big enough, I think. I think that the $22 I spent on the ticket, the 18 euros I spent on parking for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Holy, that was a lot of money. And then it was $14 in gas to get there. I think that was money wasted. Yeah. I didn't even buy anything. My brother did. He bought a lot of stuff. I think he spent like $90 on some things. Now on a con that doesn't mean much, right? So
yeah, no, not really. I mean, it's expensive to go to these things, especially if you're out of town. You always have a hotel, right? Even if you get a discounted rate, they're still fairly expensive, and then you got to pay for parking.
Well, Netherlands isn't that big, so it takes about 2 hours to drive from one end to the other part of the country.
So in your case, you did the parking instead of taking the train or something, and
well, that would have been more expensive. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then yeah, here in the U.S. we park. In the case of, because we keep talking about Otakon, not that that's the only convention I've ever been to, but in that case, yeah, you expected to spend somewhere in $150, probably in your worst case scenario, unless you kind of shop around looking for a parking lot. If you're trying to do in the hotel, especially the new one we're at now, yes, you could spend easily $200 for staying there for 3 or 4 days for parking. And that's despite the cost of the hotel. I didn't look actually at the natural room rate, but I could probably suggest that our natural room rate for that room is probably somewhere in the range of $600 to $800 that had two double beds in it. Yeah. And whatever our rate was at a convention was a lot less. Shared with 4 people, of course. So, yeah. So, I mean, if you go as an attendee, expect to spend hundreds of dollars on hotel and at least a couple $100 on, parking, and then probably, depending on the convention size and whatever, easily near $100 for your badge.
Oh, okay.
Or membership. So, I mean, but when you go, you're doing it with all your other friends normally, and you get to hang out with all your friends at a much discounted rate unless you just went naturally there on some random weekend. So
I'm just really happy I didn't fork over the money for the weekend pass, because this was not worth a weekend pass. You can get through this in like an hour tops.
Got ya.
I walked the floor about 5 times. I've seen every corridor, every single piece, every single stand, every single merchandise they had, and there were so many Funko Pop things everywhere. And there were people selling them for $30, and then there were people selling them for $12.99. Right, so the same figures, figures for different prices.
Find that you'd find stuff like that in most conventions, even here in the U.S. People are trying to mark it up because they're trying to make cash, because they don't normally sell these things any other time of the year, so they up the cost, thinking that they're going to make money. One of the things that's always been a trick. Most of these anime cons, definitely I can tell you, Otakon, what happens is on the first day, the prices are high. On the second day, prices are a little less high. They're still holding out. Come towards the end of Saturday night, prices drop. And then Sunday, sometimes they're dirt cheap deals. And if there's anything left, because a lot of the dealers don't want to have to repack the crap back into their vans or their vehicles and take them back home. Sometimes they even say, here, insert convention, I'm donating some stuff to your staff. And then they cut it off as a loss. So here in the U.S., they can write it off as a tax thing. Even though to us, it's special, to them, it's inconvenient. They're clearing out their stock.
Well, these people are Dutch, so I don't think they'll donate anything. They're kind of cheap,
Oh, really?
Dutch.
Okay. Well, that's typically the thing. So that's what happens. So sometimes there are people who come just to cons to bargain shop that thing to death, that dealer's room. So,
but I do have to say that there were a couple of there was a really good Joker there. They did a really good, like the not Heath Ledger Joker, but like the older
Adam West kind of Joker.
No, the guy from one of the movies, I think. But he was really good. I'll show you a picture later.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, that one.
Gopher?
Yeah.
I mean,
but
Gopher.
like a really
Joker.
thin with like a pointy chin and a really pointy nose and stuff.
Very cool.
It was like really, really well done.
You got pictures of that?
Good looking Harley Quinn there.
Yeah.
That got followed by quite a lot of people with taking pictures without consent. That was hilarious. And I think there was a female Deadpool, but I don't know the whole stuff behind Deadpool to say that it was an official character or something. But that was a good one, and that's about it. There were some Star-Lords there that were okay. And there was a Groot. There was a giant Groot. That was fun. And there was a really anemic-looking No-Face. That was a bit. He was definitely not Adam Savage. That was really visible. It was really not Adam Savage. That would have been cool, though.
Yeah, a lot of the times some are really doing a really fantastic job at these things, right? And luckily, if you're attractive in whatever gender you are, sometimes you can make a career out of that, what career defines.
Well, you don't have to be attractive.
And I'm not knocking
at
them.
Right?
I mean, there are some people who turn into modeling / cosplaying as a career and are making reasonable living out of it. But to that point, there's also a lot of people who don't do this professionally or a lot and are just trying their first hand at cosplay, and they got a black tarp and they made they put white out all over it, made a no face, right? So
yeah.
So I mean, you have to you can be judgmental, but a lot of these things you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was it was too small to attract anybody that's like good, right? So there were not that many good cosplayers there.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that the con needs to grow a little bit more. It needs to be bigger, more panels, more things for your money. So I would go to a con, pay more for the con if it were a
little more going on.
It had more substance, right? Besides a dealer room.
You mentioned other conventions that are happening in the Amsterdam area. Have you tried out any of those?
No.
Okay.
But it used to be it was more of a dealer thing. It was called the Holland Computer Club.
Oh, okay.
They had like a giant, a couple of halls in the year market or something. That's what they call the Jaarbeurs. That's what the building is called. Mm-hmm. But it's like a giant, it's like 8 times this.
Right.
And it's just computer stuff. They were selling CDs and DVDs and stuff and PC parts and things. But they stopped doing that because less and less people came to it because everybody bought everything online. Now,
yeah, that's still a factor here, even in the U.S. A lot of these computer shows used to be just like that, just dealer room where you could buy electronic parts and computer parts and whatever, and they become less and less over the years. In fact, I don't even know if they're still running anymore, to be honest, around this area.
Yeah, but for like Comic-Con and more culture-oriented things, like, for example, an anime convention or something like that, that would be, that's a little bit more in right now. And I think that they could really, make it big. Have lots of, stands. I think at some point they had Netflix, but this year they weren't there. So, I don't know. But enough talking about Comiccon Amsterdam. Kind of want to forget about it for now.
Well, if you see another one that might be worth something, go try it out. I'm sure in Europe there's got to be something like a big convention that's a humongous thing, like a San Diego Comic-Con. I have no awareness of what that might be, so I can't even.
There's some maker
pitch a
stuff
suggestion.
out there. There's some maker conventions there. They're a lot bigger, and they're not as much oriented towards selling stuff,
right? As
like
sharing.
vendors, and more like sharing and panels and stuff. And I would be really interested in that. I would have gone to some panels if they were there. But there was just one podium. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like your kind of thing, I guess, locally. Well, you might have to travel to something that's bigger, right? Yeah. I know Australia's got one that's fairly large. I know London's got some, at least in terms of anime, and then I'm thinking about definitely U.S. We got plenty. We got stuff on the West Coast. We have stuff in Texas, though I don't know what was impacted recently by the hurricane. Those areas. We definitely have a ton on our East Coast and on our West Coast.
Yeah.
And then there's one in Chicago if you want to go middle of the U.S. So there's definitely plenty in the U.S. There's also a few in Canada as well. Yeah. But I can't compare really too much of like what I'm used to here in the U.S. though.
But they're going to be bigger anyway.
Sure, yeah, they'll be
These
bigger
conventions here in
a meter by a
are
meter.
Just tiny.
Yeah, they'll be bigger than 300 square feet.
But they could be bigger because the amount of people that were there, it was actually pretty crowded. There were a lot of people there, and it was around 10. I got there around 9, and then around 10, the other people got in because we got the early bird, so they got in at 10, and then it started filling up a little bit more, and then by 11 it started to be really crowded. So walking around the floor was starting to get hard, and not getting poked by somebody's fake sword or something like that.
Yeah. Well, what's the normal market look like in the Netherlands for if you wanted to walk into a store and buy anime or something?
You buy it online.
Okay, so maybe that's
but
the
there's
reason,
some stores.
Right? People wanted to shop the goods in person, and maybe that's why this is only cultivated to be a dealer's convention, because that's where the primary interest probably is.
Yeah, but I don't think people buy anime on DVD anymore. They just watch it on Crunchyroll or something like that.
You stream it or you buy it digitally, right? You rent it digitally, or you purchase it, from Amazon or whatever.
Digitally. Or find other ways.
Yeah, obviously, the price point on Crunchyroll is fairly reasonable as long as you have enough internet bandwidth to support streaming.
Yeah. So, speaking of disappointments, let's talk about Gremlins.
Which kind?
You had some Gremlins recently.
So, prior to Otakon, clearly it rained and there were Gremlins all over the place. It caused me lots of headaches. And just in the house in general. And then I went to Otakon, then I came back, and then I found some more problems. And it was definitely damp down here. But I don't think the humidity kicked the bucket on certain mics and certain gear. I think it was just age. Some of these microphones that were in this room with me were upwards of 10 years old. So, given what I bought 10 years ago, they just hit the age factor and then dead. There was one that was brand new as of like last year or something, and it was one of those that died before I went away. So Gremlins, right? That was a problem. And then when I got back and did some editing a couple weeks afterwards, my primary hardware recorder, the lower frequencies on it towards the end of the show just kind of took a dive, disappeared. And I was like, oh, this is not good. And I normally don't use my laptop to do, direct track, raw dumps, pre-fuller dumps right off the board and edit together, because I'm dealing with 5 people mic'd every week. On average, probably 3.5 to 4 people mic'd. That's probably what the average runs out if you look at the numbers. And so I normally don't deal with 5 different tracks to edit a 2-hour show. I do a mix down and I do a 2-channel stereo thing. And so that hardware recorder just had a problem, and I was thankfully able to edit around it. And so I immediately, knowing that I've gone through this problem before, I immediately just said, oh, look, I got money. I'm going to use that money, and I'm going to do a next step upgrade. And I did. And I bought the Zoom F4.
Yeah,
and,
that's not a next step upgrade, Alan. That's like going all the way, I think.
Well, when I bought the H4, remember, when I bought it, it was newer, it wasn't the newest. It still cost me somewhere in the $350 to $400. Now, since then and now, they've come out with the H4n Pro, which is in that same kind of price model point. And the thing about the H4 is the H2 had really great preamps. The H4 didn't have as good preamps, but I didn't have more money to spend on, or, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's review was biased. There was no place to go look without spending thousands of dollars and figuring it out for yourself. Because these setups, the electronics, I think of it like cooking or baking, or it's all about chemistry. And even though it's all about electricity, there's a chemistry here. And what your voltage is in one place is not necessarily balanced for the other thing, and whatever. It didn't work out as well for the H4. The H4 was in a reasonable compromise for about 5-6 years, but then it finally died. And so I said, well, here's all my pain points with this device. As good as it was bad in these places. And I went looking for the next level, and my first considerations were another brand. Zoom has been very good to me. And then I thought, well, okay, what about some of the other brands? There's a lot of unknowns there. Okay, maybe the H4n Pro. No, it's still going to have the same preamps. No. All right, let's see what the H4 is. Oh, that's expensive. This is a starting point for filmmakers.
Yeah.
And it is exactly just that. Yeah. It is a nice device.
So it's the F4, not the H4, like you just said.
No, this is the F4, as in Frank. As in film, maybe, 4. They have one that's
what
about
the H
300.
stand for then?
I don't really know.
Home?
I don't know. Maybe. But anyhow, so it's a field recorder. It's legitimately a field recorder. The H4,
that's
H2.
what the F might stand for.
I don't really know. But it's called the F4. I'm not going to focus on it because I don't really know. They have an F8. That's probably the upper limit to their field recorders. And even the price points on that, given the consideration of things, there are other manufacturers who've been doing this longer that have way more expensive gear. You want to buy stuff from Sony or Panasonic, professional gear. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars for a box that's roughly the same thing. So with that, given the consideration, yes, it was expensive, but then I bought some accessories with it that I think were necessary. And so now it is a much better device. The preamps on this thing are amazing. And it's meant to be rugged, to be put into a case, to be strapped around your shoulder and just go with you in a filming scenario. And people do use them professionally. So I am not regretting spending the money.
Yeah. How much did you spend on it?
I spent at least $600. I bought, this is 4 tracks. This has balance pole / combination XLRs on it. It's got 4 on the side. It has the 10-pin connector that the H6 and the H6 has, which allows you to put in different kind of microphone connections. And they make one where you can add another 2 XLRs / quarter pole. So I bought that adapter. And what else? I bought a 128 gig SD card to put inside the device. It has 2 slots for SD cards. You can put up to 2 512 SD cards in it. And you can record, I think, either specifically or I think at the same time so that you have a backup, right?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a RAID. This is a very well thought out device. And it took a little bit of time for me to figure out what the levels were, but it didn't take that long. So I'm now back in the business when I'm editing the normal podcast and using this at least once or twice. I have to bring the levels up because people who normally would laugh or talk over each other and get really loud on the old H4, the way it was set up, it would run hot and it would get distort and maybe even clip or get close to clipping. And even the compressors and stuff on my board would account for it, but it would still be not great audio. I'd have to reduce the level or completely edit those pieces out. Where in this case, it just handles it. People got loud and it just, it's like, all right. I got room. What else?
So, did you record on that thing?
I did.
Okay.
I didn't record directly the microphones into it. It does have phantom power. I didn't. I just take the out of the board, direct out of the board into the unit. And so it fits my needs really well. And apparently it can also be used as an audio interface, which I have not tried yet. But
the H4n can be used as that as well, right?
It could not.
Well, this one can.
It could be used like a USB mixdown device, but I don't believe it would. I don't believe the H4n had ASIO drivers. This thing does.
Okay.
So, like we record, I dump off the board directly through my digital workstation, audio workstation card that is ASIO compliant, and it pulls each channel off the board, and that's what I capture, and that's what you use. This thing can do the same exact thing in its own setup. I just haven't tried it out yet.
Okay.
So it's not only just a field recorder, but it could be used as an ad hoc audio interface if you need it.
Okay. Now the question again, how much do you spend on it?
Oh, so $600 for the unit, which is down what its original cost was. I spent another $60, $70 for another 10-pin module. Allows me to make it a 6-track recorder unit. Like most good mixing boards, this thing allows you to control the ins and the outs. So, for example, if I was on location, I could put a bunch of wireless mics, a boom mic on this thing. And then what I can do is I can take what the DLSR or whatever the camera audio gear is capturing, and I could take that audio, feed that into this as a monitoring channel, and then spit back out what this thing is outputting back to the camera so that could be caught and recorded. That's at the filming location, and then that could be redistributed to anyone who's like the director. So they could hear both things if they wanted, and I could control all the routes on it. So that's the thing that's nice about this device.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so for now, for having it for a week or 2 weeks, I will say it is totally worth the price.
Okay. Well, you're doing this way more professional than I am. So.
Well, sure. I mean, yes, I could not have spent the money and just deal with the editing pain points of tripling or quadrupling my editing time, and just recorded it direct dump off onto the laptop, in through Audition or something like that, and take those files and then edit with that. But my production turnaround time is inside an evening. It's not I'm not making millions of dollars from it. There is no point in me killing myself spending an 8-hour edit thing over a 90-minute show once a week. It just doesn't facilitate itself. I'm looking for convenience and it to be an optimized process. And so this fits exactly in. I literally just tapped it in, had to figure out what my levels were on this thing. And then it literally just sits here. My only complaint about it is it's meant to be racked or sit in a little comfy, soft pouch bag on field location. And so where I have this thing is I don't have it at eye level. It's sitting here propped up with a flashlight thing, cheap flashlight thing, where I leaned it up to give it an angle so that I can see it while I'm at this microphone. Because if it is literally perpendicular to the table. It's either sits on its backside or it sits, basically flat on the table and I can't see the screen. And that's not its problem. It's just physically, I just need to get a stand or a tablet stand or something to lean it up so that I can get to the controls pretty easily and see them with the.
You don't have any rack hardware there.
No, I never did. I have rack. The equipment I have is rackable. All of it.
Do you know that the tables from IKEA called Lock, L-A-C-K, that they're about exactly the same size as a rack?
Really?
Yeah. You can make some braces for that and just print it somewhere or get some hardware from a hardware store and just make just your own rack.
Yeah, do an IKEA hack. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe one day I will, but I haven't done it. I just sort of stack them. And it's been fine. So, to that point, one day if I do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably a 6U, maybe a 8U rack or something, maybe one day I'll put this guy in there. But for now, I'm going to leave him as he is.
Well, if you're going to buy a rack thing, if you look at the price for that and then you look at the price of one of those tables, which is about $5.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of cheap.
But you also have to keep in mind that these things do come with a lot of weight. So you want to make sure that whatever it is you put it into is, as well as I do about like server racks, right?
Yeah.
You want it to be fairly good and easy to get to and not cause problems, especially when you have wires draping every which way. So cable management is important. Even though I'm sitting in a room where it's now unmanaged.
Cables everywhere.
It's everywhere. It used to be. I would remanage it every year, and then for some reason, like I said, they pick up their headphones, they talk into a microphone, and they fiddle with things, and all of a sudden the wires get messy. Yeah. And then I gave up.
Well, I'm here by myself, and I can cause this to have happen. So yeah.
Yeah. No, it gets everywhere. Yeah. Anyhow, there's enough of a rant about that. So I got a new recorder, and so that has kept the Gremlins at bay. I finally called upon my warranty on Dell, and they gave me literally inside of a day. I called one evening, and the next day when I got home, there was the replacement part from them. So they made good on their warranty.
For what?
I bought, when I got the new laptop, I bought a USB Thunderbolt dock that has video outs on it, has USB-C, has a bunch of USB, also has audio outs and inputs on it. I think it just has outs. I don't know if it has any input on it. And then obviously gig Ethernet on it as well.
Yeah.
And so I wanted that plug-in one cable solution. Monitors come alive. Now I have it. And so the first set of Gremlins killed that device. And then I bought a replacement. And that one's been working great. And then maybe a week or two ago, I called up Dell and said, hey, this thing should be covered on a warranty. This is what happened. This wasn't really working as well as it should have been from the get-go. And now it won't even power on. What shall I do with it? And they say, well, it looks like it's covered under warranty. All right, we will send you a new one. And you have 10 days to return it. And then I get this thing the next day, And there it is, minus the power adapter, which, by the way, I didn't need anyways. That was fine. And then it says at the bottom, you are not required to return this. You didn't receive a whatever labeled courier thing. You do not need to, you're not required to return this. Okay. Then I get this automated email from Dell and says, hey, you're supposed to return stuff within 10 days. So I called them up and I said, hey, they said, scan that for me and we'll get back to you and we'll close your case out. And so that guy was helpful, and then nothing. Heard nothing. But I've been getting the automated email saying you owe us a part back. But disregard this if someone told you not to return it. So I'm just going to let it roll. That's my only pain point. I think they're so used to having. Now my only kind of problem is, what do I do with this part? Well, I have a stack of old gear that has been collecting up, so I'm putting it in that pile, and then when I dispose of those things, I'll do it all at once. So
for the let's give them some links, because you did write down some links for this.
I did.
The Zoom F4 was Polymatic.link/A8.
Yes.
And for the Steadicam Volt, that was Polymatic.link/A9. Steadicam Volt is the gimbal, the automatic gimbal thing.
Yeah, the stabilizer.
Yeah.
Gimbal / stabilizer. I would call it a gimbal with a motor in it.
Yeah. Motorized gimbal, yeah.
Yeah. So it is basically like the counterbalance. It's sort of a hybrid of a counterbalance and a single access gimbal, right?
That's something you'd find below a drone, like for example a DJI Phantom
for the camera.
Like that.
Yeah. And so when I balanced it, even though I had an unhappy phone, it worked great for all of 3 minutes. I risked playing with it that way if I got it balanced.
Okay. So I have some stuff for a book corner and I have some stuff for a music corner, but I didn't think you put anything in for a music corner.
No, I didn't. I had one find, and I'm still
checking it out.
Her album does not release until sometime this month in September, and so they give you the first 2 tracks. So I'm reserving judgment or comment. So maybe in the future, maybe towards then, but I don't have any real new music to share or artists.
Too bad.
I mean, I got lots of artists I like that I can share, but I'm not doing that. I was looking more towards people who are unique, not mass market. No one cares that I listen to or what my opinion is about the latest Katy Perry album.
Or Taylor Swift, for example.
I don't own a single Taylor Swift thing, but I like people who cover her music. So I'm probably not opposed to Taylor Swift, but I don't own a single thing of hers. So
anyway, book corner. There is a book called Not Alone. It's by Craig A. Falconer. I may have shared something about this before. Polymatic.link/AG. It's a story about Dan McCarthy, who gets hold of a folder from a secretive organization with proof of the existence of aliens. It's about 22 hours long. You get quite a lot of bang for your buck for this.
So is it a book or is it a novel?
It's an audiobook.
Right. Okay, I got that. But I mean, when it's in print, is it considered a novel?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. 22 hours just seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of paper. Yeah, probably. It's a lot bigger than the Bobiverse books. So, but it's it was a good story. Dan is in his 20s, I think, and then he's a bit of a loner. And when he decides to leak the information in the folder, he gets into a lot of trouble. There's some untrustworthy news organizations that try to harass him and bug him and do all sorts of crazy stuff, and things get weirder and weirder and weirder. And I really like how it ended. I've listened to this before. This is not something that I just recently got, but it's on my list of books I've listened to more than 2 times. So I really think it's a good find. So Polymatic link/AG if you want to go listen to that. And then I have Andrew Beyer featuring Anne Brunn, Lose Sight. It's a really trippy video. People start floating and stuff. I like the song. I like it. So I thought I'd share. So Polymatic link/A1 for that.
Gaia. So any new music for me that I've been digging on is Orla Garland. I decided to become a patron for her. Her ask is not that much, and she puts out a demos every once in a while, at least once a month. And since I've been a patron, that's what's been happening. So it's only all new to me for like the last couple months. And so she puts out new music, and so that's what's been kind of regains my interest for something that's new. And so some of those songs, those demos that she's been putting out, whether they've been released or not, have been, what I've been grinding on in terms of like what I've been most interested in. So, and then more importantly, like I have a general idea what the backstory is, because then in the patron experience, she shares an unlisted, YouTube video, about like what inspired the demo. Yeah. So she took something that pissed her off. She made a song out of it. It was 90 seconds. And then she made it her August demo. And then she turned it into a 3-minute thing. And now I understood she said what pissed her off and why she made the song. It came out of inspiration. And there was another song of hers called Lifeline, which also came from someone who was patronizing her. And I really liked the song, and I wouldn't have ever thought this was inspired by someone who was patronizing her, and that was her inspiration to write the demo. So, these things come along with some insight. It just furthers my interest in her as an artist. So that has been what's been kind of keeping me afloat. And what am I going to do? I'm going to tell you about a new Orla Garland song that I was happy about? No, because I already told you that I thought she was somebody worthy of following, at least, from a distance. There will be new albums. Probably some of these songs that I'm getting, these are demo versions, and then they'll probably go into pro versions when they make it to an album. And that probably won't happen for a while. But to the point, as a patron, I'm getting extra stuff, and that's really cool because that's exactly what I want from this artist. She does good work, and so Music Corner might be late sometimes for me. Just expect it.
Did you ever patron Mastodon?
No, I did not.
Okay, I did.
I barely go to Mastodon.
Cloud.
Yeah,
Clown.
Cloud. Yeah, you should set up Mastodon Cloud. It's still busy by some people.
But I stopped my patron. I did like a $1 or €1 patron for that, and it was like
you look, if it was something that I used a lot and respected, I would totally do it. Did I respect it? Yeah. Did I use it a lot? No. And so why would I give money towards a thing that I didn't?
Well, I thought the idea was good, so that's why I wanted to help
too.
It out. But it's
for me,
it
was more of a pain point than a positive one. Yeah. And so that's why I didn't give my $1. I know it makes me the jerk, but
I'm the jerk for stopping it. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's your decision.
Yeah. So we got some fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's me. Okay. Do you like? Have you played Overwatch?
I have not.
You should.
I have not played Overwatch.
You got a new laptop. You might try it.
I guess I have a card that's capable of it now.
Definitely. Well, the probably the 650 or this the 660 can still run Overwatch. So
okay.
You don't need a fast PC.
Oh, really?
Your last PC could run it.
I don't know why everyone gave me the impression that it's like you got to have a really good graphics card to be able to
probably because
the
there are people that play in like the top, that want to play in the top league, and then
or high frame rates, whatever. Yeah. So I've not played it. I know it's a thing. I know it's months past being a thing. Other things are catching my attention, which are not anything like Overwatch. But you have something here that's
I have two
animated?
videos. They're
Yeah,
funny. They're
yeah.
not official, but they're really really funny. There's
I
Anna's Days Out, Anna's Day Out, Polymatic.link/A2,
hmm
and Amazing Tracer, Polymatic.link/AI. It's yeah. It's like
I definitely-
everything. If you play one of the characters a lot, then you really realize, this is the way it goes. Yep.
I definitely appreciate the animation effort. All the ones that I watch all your videos, and it's definitely good. But it didn't really impress upon me because I don't play the game at all, and so it didn't have any kind of footing for me outside of it.
Well,
No.
if you're an Overwatch fan, then you'd probably get this.
Gaia. So you had Anna Days Out, and then you also had one other one.
Yeah,
along with
Amazing
that, right?
Tracer, Polymatic.link/AI.
Okay, Gaia. So this guy I found a while ago, because when John puts in 100 links, Alan fills 100 links up because I'm always bookmarking things.
200 links.
And so what ends up happening is I keep a list of people. So I found this guy kind of randomly, William Osman. I don't know what I linked you guys to, probably a more recent. Oh, okay. So he made his own laser cutter in his apartment. He laser cuts things in his apartment.
Yeah, he's laser cutting acrylic, which is like really smart. Not.
Yeah. So this guy is kind of funny in his own way. So I just gave you two. I don't even know the age on these things. There's a bunch of stuff to watch that is old. He has a Patreon page. I haven't checked it out yet. But I generally have been enjoying his old videos and even some of the newer ones. So Polymatic.link/AC. And then the one with the pumpkin robot I added today, Polymatic.link/AH.
Yeah, so the AC, the one you linked there, is the one where he tries to build a
I think
laser.
When he's trying to, I think AC is when he's trying to basically create, using a laser, sort of like,
make a final record out of it with a laser pointer.
Right,
thing.
with a laser. Yep. Record basically onto any material, but like cardboard, for example, and then play it back on a record player.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting, and he definitely fits in that maker area. He doesn't normally always get into deep depth about his engineering efforts, but clearly there's some smart or some thought while he's trying to randomly figure this crap out.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, AH again. It's older, but I thought it was funny. So he makes a pumpkin robot.
Okay, well, it's kind of topical. I mean, it's September, so
Yeah.
it's like poof, pumpkin spice everywhere.
Yeah. So anyhow, so that's William Osman. This is a general recommendation to follow the guy. He's got lots of old videos. I mean, I kept a list of all kinds of stuff. Can you use a laser to cut through ice? I mean, it could be anything from things like that. He did using 3D printing slicing technology. I don't know why, but they did a Vin Diesel model out of ham slices. So it can go from like, well, why, and to something more actually,
Maybe
logical.
he can team up with the other guy. Why? Because I can. That guy.
Oh, Giaco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Because I can. He's going for extreme, though. That guy is always going for extreme. William Osman is just going down some rabbit hole and figuring whatever out. So
more like a Cody, right?
Yeah, but Cody is more into the accuracy of the scientific side of the chemistry and understanding, the biology and chemistry, right? And William Osman is more of an engineering, just sort of random stance thing. This week we're gonna make a robot pumpkin fight a battle bot.
Yeah.
And so, you never know what you're going to get inside of that week. And I don't even know what his Patreon looks like. It might be even funner. So who knows? But in AH, you can see that he's got a sense of humor about it, too.
Kind of regret not watching that one though.
You should. You should
Yeah.
watch and let me know what you think.
Well, I watched all of them, I think, but I think I skipped that one. But I have something else. There is usually when you get a AAA game, right? There's like hundreds of people that worked on it. But this is a game that only 20 people worked on, and it looked better than Mass Effect. So, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Polymatic /A3. It's about... It has some mental health things going on that might be a little bit, there's voices and stuff. So, Polymatic /A3, it looks really good. And for 20 people. Just 20 people worked on this.
Do you know what game engine they used to make
I think
the game?
I think they used Unreal.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, the Unreal Engine is really good. I even played with it, so I was like, yeah, this is really easy. This is really
Is this
good.
one of those cases you need like a GTX 1060 or higher to play it? Probably.
I don't know. I haven't played it, so I played with Unreal Engine, so.
Got ya.
So yeah. So go check that out.
Polymatic.link /A3. Yep. Okay, so this has been on my list for a long while. I just chose this one because I thought this was a good beginning point. They're inconsistent at the moment, as they will always tell you. This is early weeks into them figuring out what kind of thing. But Casey Neistat sold a Beam company where they were trying to make, I wouldn't say a Snapchat replacement or anything, but something that was a little bit more people talking to people instead of, celebrities talking to their fans. And so his company got about about 100,000 plus, and in terms of users, and then CNN bought his company, and then they've turned what they were doing, that technology and what they're doing, into an app. And they're essentially going to be creating a news show. Not just one that's digital, but I think one that might actually eventually show up on CNN. That I don't know. But Casey Neistat is sort of creating a little bit of a deep dive, journalistic kind of news show. I think that's what he's going for. And so they're still trying to figure out their tone and their footing. And so they are been putting out some things they've been working on. This one talks about marijuana. Polymatic.link /AA. But this can show you, and this is early on, how deep they can go. They've put out a handful of other videos. They've been trying to put them out once a week, but I don't think they always achieve that. Like every couple of weeks, they put out a new show, and they're just sort of showing us what they're doing, what the thing, and talking about it and being transparent. And so that's it. Polymatic.link /AA. If you're a fan of Casey Neistat, imagine him taking his sort of way he approaches all filmmaking and making a news show out of that, but doing it with more meaningful responsibility, not just people who live in the bubble.
Well, I think that Jake from Vsauce has also something to do with it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So he's I think he is a good influence on that.
Yep. So that was Polymatic.link /AA, as in apples.
I think that AA is also a very good lettering for that one.
Well, we need one more letter.
That's for if you got car trouble, but
yeah. Well,
I meant another thing. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, it's fine.
So I'm on an Overwatch kick. So Overwatch Rise and Shine Sleepyhead, a new Overwatch cartoon from Blizzard. Kind of looks like they're really upping their game with the animation stuff. So it's almost like this was a Pixar thing. So Polymatic link /A4.
Yeah, this was very well done. The context was lost on me because I've not played Overwatch.
Well, the character in there is one of the characters. She has like a freeze beam. She can make walls of ice and stuff, so you can't get through. That's what her powers are, and then this is her backstory, basically.
Got ya. Okay, cool. So I got one. This is really just for you. This is a guy that I follow on YouTube. I have been Minecrafting less because other things have been stealing my attention. And isn't always games, right? Other things. But if you were just had this thought you wanted to 3D print something you did in Minecraft, this is a watch this video, polymatic.link/AD.
Okay. Now, I've already watched it, but there's some other ways to do what he did. But
Right?
yeah.
I don't know.
We should do a video on that. I think I should go figure that out and maybe do another video.
Yeah, it's not like you don't have all the tools.
Yeah. Okay. So I this is also something that I actually specifically shared for you.
Yeah.
Moon base.
Moonbase with but
like
MEWN.
Yeah. Polymatic link/A6 is where you play a cat, and the cat is stranded on a planet, and you have to gather resources and do stuff.
Right.
And then I heard from Alan that he actually purchased this. So,
yeah, it's only $3. My only hesitation was because you linked me to a video. The guy was trying to go for many days, and so I was like, okay, let's see what this thing is. And then every kind of link to it looked like it was sketchy, but then I eventually found where the origin of it all, and I go, okay, it's only cost $3. Okay, I think I'm gonna buy it. Why not? $3. You can't hurt that much. I was disappointed it wasn't on something like Steam or whatever, right, where it's a more trusted location. But I was like, okay. So I checked it out, and then I played it a little bit, and I kept dying because I couldn't understand certain things even after the tutorial. It's like, in Minecraft, there's a first day of survival, and once you figure out what your basic things that you have to keep attention on, then everything else becomes easier once you figure out how to craft the right things and to progress. And so I kept dying when I did a mission, and because I wasn't paying enough attention and I didn't get my bearings yet, and I kept dying inside of a few days, like I'd starve or I lose suit power or something. And it's only version 0.38. Yeah. So there are some minor bugs, not huge bugs, but minor bugs. And I figured out ways around them. And, I kept dying, and then eventually I got a little better at it, and then I got to 7 days, and then I just decided to go into endless mission, which means it doesn't have any kind of, campaign things on it, or doesn't end, you don't get picked up, whatever. And so I got better and better and better, and I already forgot. I think I'm at 143, 145 days or something. Like that. Yeah, and I don't know how long a day lasts. It could be it's not that long.
Think about
probably every few minutes.
Yeah,
something like that. So, I discovered or whatever, I started playing it probably like last week. And then I play a little bit here and there throughout the week, and I played a bunch of it last night. And I got over 100 and then added another 40 some days, and I played a little bit more this morning. It's first thing, it's isometric. It's 2D. Yeah. It is not. It's not exactly like Starbound, but it's like Starbound. Starbound is giving you a cross-section view. This is giving you sort of, it's isometric, right? As I said.
Yeah. This game reminded me most of Don't Starve.
Right. Okay. Which I've heard of. I've never played. And so
if you like this, you'll probably like Don't Starve too.
Right. So the one, there's a bunch of little things you got to figure out. Well, first thing, you got to walk around and find your habitat modules. One that produces air when you're in there, something that produces power. The generator that they give you, which is the lowest level, requires you to go find plant matter. Once you find plant matter, then you can produce power and your suit won't die, and you'll have oxygen and, all that little thing. So it gives you the basic things, and then you got to go and start exploring. My problem is I would explore and then it would hit nighttime very quickly. And then I couldn't figure out, because it's literally pitch black. Even if you build little nav lights, they don't help enough. And I couldn't find any. I could get lost. And then I realized you can construct oxygen tanks. And then I figured out how to get food or carry food. And then I could be in the complete dark and make my way back. But you can't just sit there in the dark and wait for it to not be dark anymore, because your suit power will go. Even if you don't have the flashlight on and stuff like that. So, like, I had to figure out a little balancing act. And once I figured that out, I stopped dying. Every once in a while, I'm like going on a mission to do something like get a bunch of ore, and I'm just exploring in unknown areas. And I wasn't paying attention to my hunger. It doesn't give you it gives you little status stuff. It doesn't give you big bells and whistle noises and stuff. It just tells you that you're about to starve, you're about to die, you need ice, you need water, whatever. So basically at the origin of where it is right now, which is not even version 1.0, I like it. And it's eaten up basically free time I made during my week. And I've enjoyed it. For $3, I've got my $3 out of it. And the guy who makes this, Steve Ford, he's got a Trello board that you can subscribe to, and you can see all the bugs that he's tracking and all the new features and what's coming and stuff like that. Yeah. It is Java based. It doesn't really like 4K screens that well. It doesn't throw itself. It doesn't know what my monitors are. It puts itself into a corner, and I got to drag it into 4K screen view. And if you do full screen, it looks at my 4K quadrant monitor and is scaling for that, not scaling for, it thinks it's on a 2K screen, at best. It doesn't know it's sitting in a different workspace. So
but it's really early, right?
The expected calculations aren't correct. So you can drag it into your window, and then you can double click it, and it goes into a windowed version of full screen, maximized version, and then I just play it. I'll probably play some more tonight. So you gave this to me and then I watched it. And then I checked it out, and then I haven't stopped playing it.
Okay.
So my recommendation is spend $3 and see if you like it. Worst case, you don't like it. It was $3. Yep. And that was what Polymatic.link/A6.
Yeah, that's links to the video of Paul Source Jr.
Yeah.
He does a lot of game videos.
Mm-hmm.
Also, all right, so
I got one on the point of cats. I went through digging through my stuff. Someone bought 50 cardboard boxes and made a maze for his cats, and then let them loose. Polymatic.link/AE.
Yeah.
I didn't even share the video where there was a couple where these two guys, they put in, like hamsters have things to run around in, where they did this to their whole house for their cats. So the cats can walk up on these little scaffolding things and run anywhere part of the house.
So instead of hamster tubes, they're cat tubes?
Yeah, they're like cat wormholes through their whole house. But I didn't share that video. I literally took it off the list because it's old.
Okay, that was Polymatic.link/AE.
Yes, as in After Effects.
Okay, I don't know if I shared this before or you shared this before, but I think I found it on Google Plus, of all places. Polymatic.link/A7, the IT guy's log. Basically Star Trek, but, really
yeah,
funny.
I don't think I shared it. It didn't look new to me, but I watched it. It was funny. And then I showed it to somebody else who's fairly IT competent, and he was laughing at it this morning. He was like, it's sad, but it's too true.
Yep.
So, and that was what Polymatic.link/A7, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then last, Alan stops talking. Netflix. If you didn't know how they get things to you, here's a Linus Media Group. I know they have other channels, but I didn't know they had Tech Quickie.
Yeah.
So I found this, or I saw this recently, and so I picked one of them. This was the one I think I caught my interest. Polymatic.link/AF. Kind of explains how Netflix distributes.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's technical AF.
Yeah. Yes, it is. it legitimately is. And I saw that. I'm like, he's going to be mad at me for that too.
Yep.
It's all about the case, but now it's the AF.
I subscribe to their float plane thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually pretty good. Kind of like it. You get to see their videos early and some extra videos, I think.
Yeah, I have not looked at it yet.
But it's not expensive. But I think what their goal is to get off YouTube, or not get off YouTube, but more like have a fallback, which is their goal, I think. I think it works actually pretty well. The videos look really good even on 360.
Yeah, I know when they were hiring, they put out a video about it. I thought they were going to do something else with floating plane, but or float plane. Is it float plane?
Float plane club.
Yeah,
basically like
I thought they were going to do something different with it, and no, it turns out this is what they were doing with it. So, so I don't know. I haven't taken enough interest. I barely have enough time to get through YouTube inside my week.
Well, my YouTube suddenly, became really silent. So I was like, yeah, maybe I should just go check out some other stuff. And they had some backlog things there. Yeah, and there's no ads, so that's also really good.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I think that's it for this week. Alan, where can they find you?
If you really want to, you can find me on Twitter. CHAESS. That's my last name.
You can find all our social links on polymatic.social. Yay. You can find me at twitter.com/webdevy, WEBDEVVIE. For feedback, you can reach us at podcast@polymatic.media. Our Twitter is @thepolymatic. Our website is polymatic.media. And I hope you tune in next time. The music in this episode was by Say Uns. It was licensed under Creative Commons Attribution and found on the Free Music Archive. You can find these tracks at shortner.com/PRK.